So this is one more special type of factoring. It's called factoring the difference of two squares. And I first want to explain what this name means. So the word difference in math means you're subtracting. Difference is another way of saying minus. And a square is a number like this. It's a number like 1, 4, 9, 16, 25. These are all numbers that we get by taking a number and multiplying it by itself. So for example, 4 is the same as 2 times 2, 9 is the same as 3 times 3, and so on. Okay, so we can actually factor this in the normal way, and I'll just show you how. So another way of writing this would be a strange way to write it, but you could say that that's the same as b squared plus 0b minus 16. What you might notice about this is if we were to write it in standard form, okay, there's a squared term right here, and there's this last number, the c number there, but there is no middle term, there's no b. So if there's no b, we can just say there's 0b. So what we're really looking for is numbers that multiply to negative 16, and if they multiply to a negative, one would be positive, one would be negative, and then add to 0. So what multiplies to negative 16? We could have negative 1 times 16, negative 2 times 8, or negative 4 times 4. These two are the only ones that multiply to this and at the same time that add to 0. So in that case we would need to put b plus 4 and b minus 4. That's the pattern of a difference of squares. The pattern is always b plus a number and then b minus the same number. The reason that this works is because if you FOIL this, you'd have b times b, the outside terms would be b times negative 4, the inside terms would be b times positive 4, and then notice what happens here. These cancel each other out. That's why we're left with only b squared and minus 16, but no b term right there. Okay, so that's important to note. The pattern for a difference of squares is basically look at this number and see what did you square to get that. I must have squared a b. Look at this number, what did you square to get 16? The only thing you can square to get that is 4. So let's look at number 2 and 3. Okay, and we can do the same thing. You could obviously use the swing method for this, but it wouldn't make sense because you may notice that both 81 and 100 are perfect squares. What do we square to get 81? We squared 9. And what do we square to get n to the second? We squared n. So 9n times 9n would be 81n squared. Okay, how about 100? What do we square to get 100? It was 10 times 10. And how do we get the difference right here? How do we get the middle term? Because remember, we could write that as, could write a 0n right there. Okay, plus 0n. It wouldn't make sense to do that, but we could. How do you get the middle term disappear? One of these is plus and one of these is minus. So if you were to FOIL that out, you would in fact get what you see right there. You get 81n squared minus 100 as your final answer. Alright, last one. So this one right here is again a difference of squares because that's a square right there. That's 8x times 8x. And that's a square there. That's 1 times 1. And then how do we get the difference? How do we get the minus? One of these is plus and one of these is minus. And if you were to FOIL that once again, you would wind up with what you started. So I hope that makes sense. It's difference of squares is all about recognizing the pattern. And the pattern is a square minus another square.